All right, we need a little bit of a review first, and that's all right. So before I go over these problems and the answers, let's go over expressions, our order of operations, because that's what we use to solve these problems. We use our order of operations. So remember, they are GEMDAS. GEMDAS. The G stands for grouping. So that means if I have any parentheses, if I have any brackets, if under a square root I have some math under there, not just a number, if there's math under the square root. Those are, and absolute value signs. Those are all examples of grouping that I would want to do first. Then we would want to do the exponents. So if we have like some number squared or some number to the third power, anything with exponents, we would want to simplify that. The next step is multiplication and division. Remember, when we do multiplication and division, we work left to right. Work left to right. So for multiplication, you might also see parentheses mean to multiply. You might see that little dot means to multiply. And for division, you might see a slash like that, or you might see the fraction bar where you have a number on top and the bottom. But remember, multiplication, division, we work left to right, all in one step together. It's not like I do all multiplication and then all division. Oh, that reminds me, grouping is also like a big fraction bar. If there's like math on top and math on the bottom, that's another form of grouping. Sorry, I forgot about that one. And then our last one is adding and subtracting. Again, we work left to right to get those done. So if you like to do these problems out by hand on paper and pencil, you need to remember GEMDAS, those order of operations. So for example, this first example, 4 times the quantity 6 plus 2 squared. If I'm going through and I'm doing my GEMDAS, first I would need to do my grouping. What grouping do we have here? Yeah, inside the parentheses, that 6 plus 2, that is grouping. And that would give me 8. And I would want to bring everything else down. There's no more math in my parentheses, so my grouping is good. Then I move on to my exponents. Here we have that squared, that second power as an exponent. Remember, that means that I have to do 8 times 8 for 8 squared. Not 8 times 2, 8 times 8, which would give me 64. And I bring everything else down. I did my exponents. Now I see multiplication because, again, parentheses means to multiply. And 4 times 64 is 256. And there's our answer. For this problem, there's no addition and subtraction except for that stuff in the parentheses, which we did at the beginning. This next problem's a little trickier. There's a lot to this problem. There is a lot to this problem. When I see problems like this, I'm not going to try to do that paper and pencil. I like to use my calculator. Work smarter, not harder. So first, I want to tell my calculator that x equals 2. And I also want to tell it that t equals 4. Now that my calculator knows what everything equals, I can type in this last part over here at the end, that expression that I have. So I want to type 1/8, arrow over, and I've got a set of parentheses. I have x cubed. To do that cube, you have to click the A to the B button on the calculator. X cubed minus 4, close those parentheses, And then I have another set where I have t squared. I can click the a to the second power button there. T squared plus 8, close my parentheses. Oops, I did an equal sign instead of a plus sign. There we go. And I see over on the side that my expression here equals 12. Again, if you want to do this by hand, paper and pencil, that's totally fine. But there's so many little things you can get wrong there. I recommend using the calculator for this problem. And then for our last one, again, when I've got an ugly fraction like 8/3, when n equals 3/2, I'm going to use my calculator. Again, with problems like that, with those fractions, they get a little tricky. There's a lot of little things to mess up. I just prefer to do everything on my calculator. So first, I'm going to tell it that n equals 3/2. Then I'm going to type in my expression. My expression here is 8/3. So 8 divided by 3, arrow over, n cubed, n to the third power. And that gives me 9. If you have any questions on this, let me know. Otherwise, you can move on down to slide number 5 if you need additional practice and videos to help you understand this just a little bit better.